Hi, my name's Chris Candy, and this is the Never Not Run podcast. Or no.
Or do the NNR for
This is the Never Not Run podcast. I'm your host, Chris Candy.
And I'm Mark Nieto.
What episode is this? Episode 13?
We are on number 13. Yeah, lucky 13. And today we have two very talented composers, Nick Tuttle and Jared Rodriguez.
I'm really excited about this episode because we get a culmination of a bunch of KXLU DJs together on one podcast. And what was Jared's KXLU DJ name or his show?
If I remember correctly, he was the Beekeeper. Although I think he may have just gone by Jared on the schedule, but I think once he got on the air, he developed his persona, at least his on-air persona, was the Beekeeper.
I love it. Well, it was nice because, this episode is definitely like getting the old band back together from KXLU. And it's also fun this episode because we're talking to two people. I mean, Mark, you might want to explain this one a little bit better. But these guys have a history with running, but it's not that which you would expect.
Yeah, this episode is going to feel like one of those easy runs where it starts out smooth and then works its way into a steady pace. And so we cover a lot of different stuff. These guys maybe don't have the experience that like some of the other people that we have had on the pod have, but I think they kind of like define what we're going after with Never Not Run, which is really just to figure out what people's relationship is to running and to movement. And so these guys kind of epitomize like just the average everyday person that's getting out there to run. So I was really excited to have them on to like hear their stories, especially Nick's stories, which I mentioned later on in the episode, but Nick was the very first person I ever knew to do the marathon, and he did it in such a low-key way. I don't think he even told anybody.
Yeah, he when he was explaining it, I remembered it was kind of like, A, I didn't know he had done one, and B, like, he wasn't blasting his training progress on Instagram because it just wasn't around at the time.
Yeah, I mean, this was probably pre-Strava, pre-all that. I mean, he was just going out there and doing it. But yeah, it was definitely inspiring. I think it planted a seed even way back then.
Yeah. Well, this is a great episode. It's a nice little respite from what's going on in the world right now. Definitely, we just want to say that, our hearts are really kind of broken right now with everything that's going on down in Texas. And we just want to say that it's definitely something that's on our mind and is something that, I don't know, Mark, it's something that really pisses me off. So, what's going on down there, and we wanted to briefly mention on it that we definitely have feelings about this entire thing.
Yeah, it's May 25th that we're recording this intro, so it's something it's inescapable living in the US, and especially even trying to escape for it, going outside, going for a run or something, you are immediately reminded of it, seeing newspapers on the ground or just seeing front page headlines everywhere you move, whether it's Buffalo or we even had one down here in Orange County. So
yes, it's the world we live in, and if anything, to connect it at all to running, sometimes getting that time to yourself gets you to be able to think on things and kind of reflect on the world we're in. So with that note.
Yeah, on that note, we recorded this before, all of this happened. So there's definitely a different vibe to it, but hopefully hopefully people will enjoy it for what it is.
Absolutely. Well, I think it's just that time to hear the music of combat. Mark Nieto. And lead us into episode 13 of the Never Not Run pod.
Oh, we'll get into it, Chris. Don't worry. Man.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a big deal
right
for
now. We're already recording.
Okay.
dude. Yeah. No, I don't. We probably shouldn't lead with my shoes, but you know,
We got the kettlebell.
I'm down.
Yes, I have the kettlebells on the floor next to my credenza.
Oh man, we could do some Turkish get-ups and.
Oh yeah, you doing Pavels?
Pavel is my G. I was doing his Russian fighter pull-up program before.
Grease in the groove.
Grease and Groove's cool. I just was doing Simple and Sinister for like 2 months.
Yeah, I'm still.
This
doing
all
it.
sounds made up. This is all real stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all
no,
right.
it's like he.
Those
So
are-
he
all
has
right.
like this. He has one of the funniest.
He's.
Like videos. Have you watched the instructional video?
I've seen one.
Where
Yeah,
he's like,
he looks like.
he only calls it a
street-
manly kettlebell the whole time.
Yeah.
He's,
He's this like Street Fighter looking character who's like the master of kettlebell training, and like
Okay.
his stuff's cool because he's like really effective, but he's all about recovery. Like so you're not gonna really get hurt. Like it's like the pull program is like you do like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, like set of 5, set of 4, set of 3, set of 2, and set of 1.
Yeah.
And then the next day it's like 5, 4, 3, 2, 2. You just add 1 every day. So he's always about like simple adding and cumulative. And so then it's like it ends up being really cool. Welcome to the podcast.
we're just talking about Pavel's kettlebell
yeah.
programs. You fuck with Pavel?
We're gonna cut this out.
I want to keep it
Maybe
all.
there's no right answer.
I'm ready to keep it.
Well, so like with the kettlebell shit, I've never done it because whenever I see someone doing it, it looks terrifying. It looks like this dude is about to destroy his back. And
Right.
so I don't know, but I feel like I should be trying it because all of my friends do it. A lot of my friends do it.
You're right. Like it's a really like vulnerable move, you know, but once you like build the strength up to it, you get like strong in like a really bizarre way. Like you don't get like cut, but you're just like all of a sudden you go from like doughy to like
Trying to get cut.
I'm like, hey baby, I'm always trying
we
to
need
get cut.
Yo, I'm trying to build granted, clearly I'm mostly upper body strength, but I could always use more.
Dude, no, but like you'll
It's like functional.
But that's I want to build
know.
that, you know. So I've been thinking about it.
No, you should. Like it's all about like getting the right weight for you, a light one, and just going through the motions. But like
Yeah.
if you get the education on it, it's really great. And
this homie you're talking about.
my friend actually, if you ever wanted to do like one training session and learn it, like it's really affordable and like he's the best and he's just really nice. His name's Matt. And he's like trained with Strong First, which is like I feel like I'm on the pod. I'm recording. We're keeping this all.
No, we're going, man. None of this is warm up anymore.
Exactly.
We're on the field, boys. The cleats are on.
There is no warm up.
Well, let's just Mark.
We're back.
We're back.
The Never Not Run podcast. We're at what, episode 13 now?
This is episode 13, yeah, and we have been we've gone through the looking glass with this one today, folks.
I'll be honest. I have not. This is the most highly anticipated episode for me personally.
Just a bunch of real athletes here.
I'm so excited to get into a discussion.
You're excited. Jesus, man.
Oh man, I know. When you pitched this idea to me, it didn't even need to be pitched. It was like immediately like, yes, we need to do this.
Can I ask what the pitch was?
Weird stories about running in LA.
Okay.
So the thing that like happens, I think, at least I can speak for myself, is that when I got into running, like it was very organic and all of my like, I've had a lot of fun stories more recently, but like the best ones are always like the early stories, right? And like, when you get wrapped up into marathons and races and all that stuff, it starts like forming your perspective on running. And like all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're like in the running world. And when Mark was telling me about your guys' experience with like moving and running and long walks and all this stuff, it sounded so like freewheeling, esoteric, no fucking rules, like let's just go and like
The bad boys.
yeah.
If this sounds any different from our regular podcast,
It's 'cause it is.
It's because we are surrounded by two expert recording engineers and music composers, Jared Rodriguez and Nick Tuttle. The four of us go way back. We all went to school together.
Yeah, we went to LMU and
and have remained friends. But I want to welcome both of you guys to the podcast.
Thanks for
Dude.
coming to the Never Not Run pod.
My God, thank you guys. It's an honor, man.
It's great to have you. We're here in Nick's house. Nick, you've been pretty busy as of late.
I've been trying to work my way back into running after taking like a decade break around a full-time job and having a kid and going to school. It's been an adventure.
So you mentioned this in a text earlier, but I think you were the first person that I ever knew that actually ran a marathon.
So I ran in 2009, like right after college. My thing was always like, I just wanted to run every day. So I would run 6 miles every day. And after, like I grew up in Seattle, but then after moving to LA, like the weather was just so nice that I never took days off for breaks. So, after I graduated college and I was like trying to find something to do, I was interning at a recording studio and working overnights at a dog kennel to pay the bills. And
As one does.
and
man.
so I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I have to like have like a set goal that makes like sense. And then the marathon was coming up and I was like, I've never trained or
Was
like,
this
done
LA?
anything. Yeah, it was the LA marathon.
Was it Stadium to See at that point, or was it the
No,
old route from
it was
Coliseum?
I don't think it wasn't even the Coliseum. It was like downtown and then you looped around over to the west side and then back to downtown where you finished.
So did it start where it finished, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah, and it was like I think it was on Figueroa. I don't remember. But I definitely was I had never tried to train for a marathon before. Like my whole thing about running was I just wanted like it was time to listen to music and not be bothered while also like moving my brain. So it was like I could calm down my brain enough to really focus on music. Like that was like my dad always ran with a cassette tape deck like around his neck. And then when I started running, I remember like trying to buy the cheapest anti-skip CD player. Like I wanted the most amount of anti-skip because I would just shred my CDs because I had my CD player like in my hand. Right. This is like, so I started running when I was like 15. And I, like something everybody on this podcast talks about is not everybody. You just have a lot of guests who are like, yeah, I used to have to run the mile in middle school and it was horrible. And like, I still thought running was like not fun. So to make it fun, I was like, okay, I can like listen to music during this time. Right. So I like, that was a huge priority for me. And I would be like literally like burning copies of CDs I had bought because I would be scratching them so much from running. Like,
Wait, you were burning albums or would you make mixes?
yeah, I would do both. But
Was
yeah,
there a
I would
time-
like,
was
my
there a time-
kingdom for one of those mixes. Dude. Sorry.
it was
go
like,
ahead.
no.
There's a lot of like prog rock and like screamo bands because I was a high school kid in the early 2000s.
Was there a time when you could do like an MP3 CD and you could put over
data
like,
CD.
a data CD,
Yeah,
right?
and
you
those
could
are pretty good too.
But could you listen to those on a CD player? I can't remember.
You could like I don't know if I ever bought one of those CD players. Like,
But it was- okay.
because
I'm trying to remember.
I just remember specifically buying like a Sony Discman G-Shock, and it looked like a spaceship.
Was that the yellow one that had the clamps on it? Do you remember those ones?
It didn't have clamps, but it had
I
like
had the tape
rubber
version of
pads.
that. Shit
Those
was
were so sick.
Yeah. That was dope as hell.
Dude, they're like really dropping the ball. I mean, I get it. Yeah, we have like our phones and it's so wireless, but like some of those like early like Discmen and we could. I'm scared about this episode because we could go on so many tangents. It's like fucking terrifying.
I mean, G-Shock was one of my notes. Like, I definitely wanted to talk about how I would just ruin my records because, like, I would take them running with me. Like, I literally had like 3 copies of Mars Volta's first record because, like, they would
That's
get
what's up.
scratched just
what's up.
hitting the inside of the CD player.
Okay, so Jared, so
Yo.
when did you get into running?
Like in enjoying it, or when did I start? Two like radically different
I don't think we have
things.
that distinction on this podcast.
No, we don't. Okay. So okay. Here's a great question actually.
Yeah.
What was the first time you ever ran a mile?
Like school, elementary school.
Were
Okay.
you
It was-
fast back then, or
No, it was just I was like, do you do cuss words?
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to edit this.
We do, but maybe today we don't.
I'll try to chill.
No. Go for it.
No, I'll start chilling. We'll see what happens. But so yeah, I just didn't care.
Yeah.
It was whatever. Nothing. Did nothing for me.
Uh-huh.
And then high school, I played soccer and I had to do cross country in the off season.
Okay.
So
And
they
I
made you do
hated
that.
it. Dude, I hated it, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
as like a training to
Yeah, to
improve
stay
your
in
aerobic
shape.
base and all that?
Because it was because people wouldn't do anything. Because you do like
Where'd you go to high school?
Santa Margarita
Where's that?
in Orange County.
Okay.
Not cool also. But like,
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, we need to stay kind of on topic, but that place sucks, dude. It's like a really rich Catholic high school.
Got it.
Not fun. But so, yeah, you play soccer and then you like, high school and
Yeah.
then there's club soccer and then there's like a whole thing where you don't do anything. So you have
Right.
to do cross country. And I hate it so much. And because I didn't run for years after that.
Before you move on, I feel this is one of the big things I wanted to get to in this podcast. Can you tell us about the vector runs in high school?
Oh, dude, let's go. Yeah.
The what?
The vector runs.
Vector
Dude,
I've heard a
runs.
lot about this.
Okay.
So this is mine, man. I coined this
Yeah,
shit.
please.
So we had to do this 6-mile run. There's like a loop around the school.
Okay.
And one of these, I think the kid's name was Scott or Sean, I think. He had a house right next to the school, right? And this was back, Sega was old at this point. It's high school.
The
Sega's
video
not-
game console?
Yeah.
Sega
Genesis.
Genesis, yeah.
Genesis. It's not new anymore. But he had it hooked up to a TV at his house. And like, y'all remember Vectorman, the game?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Green guy who's made of balls.
Of balls.
Yeah.
And he
So, yeah,
shoots more balls. It's all balls. So
He's all vectors.
But so what we would do is this homie lived a mile from the school, right? So, and we knew like, okay, we got to be gone like 40 minutes and then we got to get our ass back. So we go and we'd run to his house and we'd play Vectorman for like, we had 20 minutes. And so we'd play Vectorman and like, all right, time's up. We got to go back and we got to sprint back. So we're like sweating. So it looks like we ran 6 miles. And that was a Vector run. We got to do it twice a week instead of actually run.
So wait, did you guys ever get caught?
No, dude. We went 3 years vector running. Never got caught, man. We had one kid that was gonna squeal and like, I mean,
Yeah, you can't have that.
like, yo,
Can't have that.
don't.
Why would he
don't
squeal about a
'cause he
vector run?
Sucked, man. He was like, he wanted the coach. He was like a freshman, and he was good. He was a good runner, but he was like, up in the coach's butt the whole time, and he
Right,
wanted to
right.
be the favorite. He's like, oh, I'm gonna tell on these assholes playing
Yeah,
vector
yeah.
man. I was like, no,
yeah.
So he didn't. And it was,
Was it the entire cross country team that would do this? or
No,
was it like
no,
a
it was
core
like
group?
a group of us that hated running.
Okay.
Like one of the kids, his parents made him do it. Another one just didn't want to do PE. So
Seems to, yeah.
we found each other.
We've talked about that on like, just to take a second on it, but like PE in high school, like sucked. Like I never got anything out of it. And I was like, I wanted to do more sports, but I was so afraid to get a physical because they would like have to weigh me. And I was like, didn't want to deal with like the fear of that. So I never did any like extracurricular sports. And so it wasn't until like, for me, running was like, I've said it on the pod before, I lost a ton of weight running. So like after that, I got really into like, I don't know, I felt like it gave me like access to my body. So I was like, oh fuck yeah. Like I'm all about this thing. But I just remember until then I was like locked in this box of like the only athletics I would do was PE, and I hated it so much. Like I just did not enjoy like any aspect of it. And I would always go on runs in like basketball shoes as opposed to like going running in like running shoes. And I felt like someone should have like tapped me on the shoulder and gone like, yo, like there's an easier way, buddy.
I mean, I just bought a pair of Hoka's like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it's the first time I've ever spent more than $25 on running shoes. And this is when I did the LA Marathon. I would literally go to Big Five, find whatever was on sale
Let's
for $15 to
go.
$20, and those were my running shoes.
I was told actually by this Kenyan ultra runner who's an actor. Actually, I think I've talked about him before. He'd be great to get on the show. But I remember I was asking him like, what shoes should I get? You know, and he was just laughed. He was like, what you're going to do is go to Big Five and find the cheapest shoes possible. It's because it's true. Like, I think running shoes are a preference. Like, sometimes like they help you get going, but like at the end of the day, you can run in the cheapest shoes possible, and it's totally good. So wait, so you got what would you used to buy, and what are you buying now, Nick?
I mean, I just went to the running store and then tried on 3 pairs of shoes that they brought me. And I was like, oh yeah, these feel actually amazing. And I had never done anything like that before, right? My whole thing with running, it was a priority of my time, but it was never a priority of like my money. Like I would, especially in college or something, I would never be like, okay, I'm going to like go buy myself a nice pair of running shoes. You know, it was just like, I want to make sure I can run. And like, I would usually just wear, I don't know, like Converse I was in college, so like Tevas. Like I was
Wait, would you run in Converse All-Stars?
I tried for a little bit, but then I noticed the big $20 shoes were definitely a step up. So.
Yeah, definitely.
And it would also ruin my Converse quicker, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
The other thing you're leaving out too is that when you were at the running store, you were texting me the entire time. So we were doing like a play-by-play.
That's because I knew you'd be so psyched. I was also nervous. I didn't know if they were going to swindle me. I don't know how running stores work. In general, yeah, it was a very welcoming, sweet environment. If you're going to start putting a lot of miles on, because I'm walking like 7 miles most days right now.
Yeah.
Right? I do like 2 little chunks. And so it's just a lot of time on my feet. And so it was worth it to go in there, have someone look at my stride. And, you know, I didn't know what a toe box was. But then when it was explained to me, I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I get why I need more space for my toe, you know. And again, when I was training for the LA Marathon in my early 20s, when I did this in the past, like, I didn't care about any of that stuff.
Right.
You know, that wasn't.
So, yeah, but let's go back to LA Marathon. What was that experience like for you?
So when I started training, my first thing was just like, I wanted to push it as far as I could once a week. You know, like I didn't do a specific training regimen. I didn't research what I should do correctly. I just was like, I'm going to do my normal thing, which is I run 6 miles every day. And then I'm going to go on a long run every Saturday.
Great.
And then I would also run on the beach sometimes, like in the sand, because I had like, I don't know, I watched Rocky or something. I thought, you know,
That's right. Man.
I thought that's what I was like supposed to be doing.
Let's fucking go.
And so I, at the time I was living in West LA, like Fairfax and Adams. And so I would run down the Ballona Creek, like bike path. And I would run that all the way to the beach. And then I would run down or up the beach. You know, I would either run in South Bay or I'd run up towards Santa Monica. And, you know, like I never, because my priority still was like, this is like my zone out time. You know, it was like, try to get in a flow state. I wasn't trying to beat a certain time. I wasn't, you know, if anything, I was like after the dopamine high, right? Like that's what the difference of training for the marathon was versus like what I'd done in the past, which was just like kind of like get me time or space. So
got it.
You know, I wasn't specifically trying to chase any certain time. I didn't look up anything. I just kind of went for it. And
so cool.
Kind of, because what ended up happening is I had certain things that were like happening in my body that I didn't know what was happening. And like, you know, like my nipples would start bleeding on long runs. And I'm like, what is this? This happens? Like, this is something, you know, and I didn't know that like, had I talked to somebody about it, I didn't think about like hydration or nutrition during my runs. I would literally just carry like a plastic water bottle and then throw it away in one of the trash cans on the beach. And that's all I did for, and like on some of my training runs, I was going over 20 miles. I would go like building up to it like 22, 24, like again, not something you should do before you run the marathon.
Yeah.
So
did you even have like a GPS watch, or like did you just have a?
No. What are you talking about, man? This is like 2008. But then GPS watch. I was still printing out MapQuest directions. But I did have an iPod, so that's the other thing. You know, when I talk about like my listening time, so like I very specifically like would make long playlists of like. It was like I would have some like more upbeat music, like, and then some of it would just be like ambient music or like free jazz, right? Like in my early 20s, my favorite thing to run to was Ornette Coleman because it was like such an onslaught of notes, and like you can, when you're running, like my brain would either engage with it like actively, and so like I'm listening to what's going on to try to like escape how tired I was feeling,
Right.
or it was just like kind of this like sheet of sound that was in my head that was kind of like helping me like drive myself along, you know.
Okay.
So no, I did not have a GPS watch.
Did you get injured at all, or?
So I not like, I'm pretty sure all that concrete running without like thinking about form or having someone check my form and running on big 5 shoes, like maybe, and probably running too heavy, like as just talking about my body weight, probably did not help my like knee problems that like I developed later. Like I have like a shallow patellar groove, like my kneecap pops out, like my cartilage is pretty much like gone in a certain part of one of my knees, right? So like and that's one of the reasons I really haven't done a lot of running in the last like 10 years. But the main like quote unquote injury I remember that happened to me is like I was grinding my teeth on my long training runs and I didn't know it, so I actually cracked a hole in one of my teeth from like like I went to the doctor.
While you were on the run, you felt that?
Well, no, it was so gradual. I just like was grinding my teeth all the time. And then I went to the doctor and they were like, oh, it looks like you're grinding your teeth really, really bad. And then I realized like it was because I was holding so much like tension when I was like running.
Yeah.
You know, everyone talks about that last like 6 miles on the marathon. Like, what was that time like for you?
So the marathon itself was definitely like a failure. Like it was I loved it. Like it's an experience like I treasure in my life, but because I didn't go in with like a good training plan, and you know, I kind of didn't research anything before I was doing it. I just was like all in. I definitely crashed. I like mile probably like 18 or 19 when I was running the actual marathon, because so I was working. I had like a day job as an intern, and then I was working overnights. And usually when I worked overnights, I could get a few hours of sleep. But like it was the night before the marathon, I was really excited. It was spring break, so this is like a dog kennel job. So everybody brings their fucking dogs to the dog kennel for spring break. So it was like a total shit show at my work the night before. And so I remember only sleeping like, I don't know, maybe an hour or two. But I was also like so excited, like beyond excited to go and do this, that I was like, this is going to be such an amazing thing to do. I'm going to have such a fun day. Like I was driving myself there, and then my wife, who then was my girlfriend, she's going to like meet me at the finish line. And I was just like, oh, this is going to be like such a treat of a run. And so I drove
6 mile treat.
And so I parked my car, and it was like already like insanity before the race starts. And I wasn't
like,
ready.
where did it start?
Everybody was on Figueroa Boulevard. So it was like every parking lot was just like full of cars because they were there to run. So I remember like walking down and then just being lost in a sea of people, but some people were holding up like pace signs, and I had never seen that, and I didn't know what it was. You know,
Some of us still don't.
We're getting to you. Don't worry.
I think that's a good thing to mention is
pace
like
sign.
people
Never mind,
hold
never mind.
the signs of the pace that you want to finish the race at. So
So if you're around at the marathon,
it'll be like if your goal is to like qualify for Boston, that's like around 3 hours. So it's like, okay, 3 hour pace, or 4 hour pace, like whatever your kind of range is that you're comfortable running at.
Yeah.
You want to try to stick to that group.
It's just helpful if you don't have a GPS watch, or you want to kind of stick within just the zone. You can just look at this person with the sign, and you're like good.
You just gotta know, all right, I'm gonna stick with this group, and I'll
ride it out the whole way. Yeah. So,
but wait, you were saying you see those people there, and then
I didn't like put together that's what they were. It was just like people, but then also there's people just holding like signs of like jokes, you know. Because with the LA Marathon, it's like a party, you know, like some people are definitely there just to like have fun and chill. So like I didn't know what pace group I was in, you know. I'm just in the sea of people. I didn't know what was going on. And then I also had an idea of like, wait, how am I gonna know when the race like starts? Like I don't think I definitely did not bring my cell phone with me. I left that in the car. And so I just had like my bib. And so my girlfriend at the time was tracking me on my bib, so then she could like meet me at the end when I was done, or like something happened, she'd be able to pick me up, right? So like I'm in this sea of people, and I'm like, I wonder, like, is there like a gun that's gonna go off? Like, what exactly is gonna happen?
Right.
And then all I remember is hearing "I Love LA" being blasted at full volume and just echoing down Figueroa, and I'm just in this like sea of people, and I'm like, this is the best day of my life. But it's so backed up with people because there's so many people running it that like it took like 6 or 7 times all the way through that song until I actually started running. So you're just hearing it over and over and over again, and you're so psyched. And then by the time it's like, okay, I got to start running, you're kind of like, oh man.
When I crossed that starting line, it's almost like I just dropped acid, or it's like I just, okay, here we go, and then I take it because it's you're about, like, it's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so you finished the race, and so you just bonked at 18. Was that what it was?
So part of the reason like I was so confused about the pace group is I was in a pace of people who were like way too fast, and by the time we actually started running, I started running way too hard. So I was on like a 4-hour pace, I think, like 4 hour 10 minutes, and I was in no place to be running that quickly.
Got it.
Like, I was not, again, I had never trained. I'd never really ran anything like this before. I didn't know what I was sort of getting into. So my pace was far too fast. And what happens when you run a marathon way too fast is then you are going to crash. So I remember crashing like at mile, I don't remember the exact mile anymore, but I definitely do remember like a sea of people passing me because I was in the group where everything was kind of spread out. And then there's a bigger group of people who kind of run it like in the between 4.5, 5 hours. Like, as you get closer to those times, there's a lot more people. And I just remember like wave after wave of people passing me. And it's just like, you just feel yourself, like, you're failing, but then you also know you can't stop, like
I know that feeling very well.
So you kind of just keep going and going. But like what I loved so much about the experience is it's a mini like failure tour at the end because like you're like walking on orange peels at every single pit stop because like everybody's just eating and then like only so much makes it in the trash, and by the time you're in the back of the pack, you're just like walking through trash of the streets of LA. And it's just like, there's so many little moments that I remember like thinking like, man, this really sucks.
So did you walk and run on your way back in?
It was just the slowest jog I've ever done.
Yeah.
And I remember this like, being around mile 23 or 24, and then like the 6-hour pace guy was there. And I was like, okay, I have to stay with this guy. And he was like pushing me. He's like, you can do it. I know you can do this.
Cool.
Like, I know it's been like a really tough last like out, because that was, again, like I crashed and then I'm still on my feet trying to finish the race for so long.
It's a long time to be on your feet.
Yeah. And then like all the bands stopped playing. It's such like a party vibe with like live bands when you're in like the main part of the group. And then, when you start hearing the Steely Dan cover bands, you're in trouble.
Okay, so you finish, but I want to make sure because you guys both have so many good stories. But Jared,
I can't beat that, man. I'm the only like non-marathon dude here.
But that's like,
but you're so fast compared to us, like. So
not after what I heard last week, man. My man flies.
Yeah.
Like Jared, you grew up like an environment where you were running regularly, right? You ran from a younger age, and so like you have really good technique. And so when like after I did the marathon, like I needed like a break from running, and I did that for a while. And then when I started getting into like jujitsu again, and then I wanted to get around to conditioning. And when I would run with Jared, it was like I was running, and it was literally like the tortoise and the hare, right? Where like one guy can barely function, and then Jared's just like running like a gazelle next to me. It's like, where I'd be covered and drenched in sweat, and Jared was like, "Oh yeah, man, you want to keep going? Yeah, we don't have to."
You mentioned earlier that you hated running. So when did that switch for you, Jared? When did it turn into something that you actually wanted to do?
Like my mid-20s, somewhere in there.
Okay.
It's just like, because up until your mid-20s, you can do whatever and it doesn't matter.
Right.
You know, you can eat whatever, all that stuff. Somewhere in your mid-20s, you start getting a little old. And so then I started running again just because like I woke up feeling terrible, basically.
Right.
You know, and yeah, I started running and liking it for the first time.
So like, yeah, you're saying like you'd feel terrible. Like I understand that. Like, what do you get out of running that like makes you feel good?
It's just balance, I think. Because especially in my 20s, I just acted like such an idiot most nights, like partying and stuff. And so, yeah, like when you can't do that and run functionally. And so it helps balance things naturally. For me, it helps a lot, you know?
Oh, I totally agree. Like I can definitely go from like, you can't go out and have like 10 beers and then go run, 10 miles the next day. It just doesn't work that way. Like, so then you all of a sudden go like, oh, I got a long run tomorrow. I'm going to go to bed early tonight and not drink. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It helps put some kind of like barriers or boundaries on your life.
Yeah. And you feel great too. It's like, yeah, it's like the best. When you finish a run, for me, it's one of the best feelings you can have. It's like natural. Is it dopamine or serotonin? I don't know what you get.
Well, it's endorphins.
We'll go with that one, man.
but this then highlights, I think, what I wanted to get in talking to you about running is like, I think when Mark was telling me about how you run, he was explaining to me about like how you go on these really long runs, but you don't need to, but you don't bring anything with you. Like Mark asked you the question, like, what do you use for nutrition? And you're like, what are you talking about?
Dude.
So explain to me like your running ethos. And yeah.
Well, yeah, we'll get into that too, because I have so many questions. Mark's answered some, but yeah, like basically, I guess kind of similar to you, Nick. Like I never brought gear with me ever when I would go out running. I would just go because that's just like in cross country, I never did.
Okay.
So I just never thought to bring water or anything. And it wasn't until recently, because I only started doing more than like 8 miles in the last 2 years.
Okay.
I never wanted to do more than that. I just go out and run and it was chill and that was it. But recently I started to do more. But yeah, then I go like once you hit 10 miles, you feel terrible. Or not terrible, you just get so tired. And it's like I've been able for the past few months or maybe like year and a half to like get a little further, but the progression is so slow.
Right.
And it's like, dude, what am I doing wrong, man? You guys are going 26 miles and I'm running like at 12. It's like, how do you do twice this, man?
Right.
You know?
Right.
And I guess it's because you bring water and gels.
Yeah, that's what I asked you. I think I was like, well, when do you eat? Or like, are you putting food in? And that's when you were just like, yeah, I don't. And then
ever, man.
Yeah. And that's, yeah, I mean, that's kind of, I don't remember if that was something that was like something, I think, I mean, we kind of talked about this too on the way here a little bit, but like getting nuggets of information from other people. And like nowadays I just kind of go on YouTube or go online and research stuff. But I guess when we were starting out, it seemed like there was, I don't know, like I didn't know where to go for that kind of information. So there was like a lot of trial and error. And I do remember seeing, my uncle or like even going to like Big Five and you'd see goo and gel and I just would be like, what is this for? And then
dude,
yeah, just even like wanting, for some reason I always was like curious about gels. I don't know.
Yeah, no, because
like you'd see
I get that.
Yeah, you'd see him at Big Five and you're like, why would anybody consume this? What purpose is this for?
Yeah, I always for me, I felt like that there was such a difference between me and an athlete. Like I was like, oh, I'm not an athlete. I never am going to need this type of food. I'm not athlete, And then you do put yourself through these challenges, or you realize, oh, it's not for athletes. It's for people who are trying to do this thing.
Yeah.
And and even within that world, there's like people who don't do any of that stuff. There's so many different approaches to kind of keeping yourself alive and fueled and stuff. I have a friend, she runs with like soft boiled potatoes in the back of her.
No way.
Yeah, and just a bag of couple small soft boiled
That
potatoes
seems
and
so
salt.
heavy.
It's gross, but she does it and she's just like cool. And like I remember,
Does she use a spoon?
What's that? Yeah.
Whatever gets
Like,
you
is it
there,
really
man.
like handfuls of like?
No, she just takes like she gets little like fingerling potatoes, soft boils them, and then puts salt and then throws them in like a bag, and she just like chomps on those. And yeah, that's her thing. I remember we went on like I think a 14-mile run, and we were going up this crazy hill and all these things, and then I was like, I didn't take any nutrition with me, and she was like, "Oh yeah, dude, you're gonna bonk," and I was like, "Fuck," and I kind of did at the end.
Well, they say that too about the longer races, that it's like a eating contest, and that you really have to monitor the amount of calories. I think it's like 200 calories every hour or something like that. So,
Well,
Really?
Chris, I think you said the LA Marathon felt like a buffet.
Yes, it does.
It's just like,
Well, yeah.
because it's like every mile there's something, you know what I mean? Whether it's like fruit or like sausage or like,
Yeah. You know, like the city shows up at LA Marathon,
Yeah.
and so like you'll go through like Alvera Street, and there's someone giving out like taquitos, and then like, there's like
Hold up though. Like, can you eat a taquito when running and you don't get messed up?
I think some people do like the Raramari race, the one that's down in Mexico, like in the Copper Canyons, like that's a 50K, and there's like, you know, Mexican grandmothers making like bean burritos, like, and just handing them out, and it's just
That's
like
wild, man.
it really just like, I think it's easily digestible carbohydrate, and you know, yeah, maybe a taquito, the oil would be kind of gnarly on your gut, but yeah, like it's funny, like whatever you can desire. Like I think our friend Dan ate didn't he say he ate tortillas from Home State?
yeah, they were giving out warm tortillas, and I was like, that's a good idea. I'm going to take some tortillas like into this long run, because it's just like anything else, I guess. You have to practice eating also and see what works for your gut.
Yeah, because like I remember for me personally, like I feel my stomach when it's turning, and so I will always get like, I would notice I'd go on runs and I would drink some water, and then I would have anxiety right afterwards, but what it was like the neurotransmitters in my gut were getting hit with the water, and then it was like creating some kind of anxiety that was going to my brain. And I would it's now a part of my cycle of like, when I'm taking nutrition, sometimes like it's going to make my head feel a little wonky, because I'm like, you think about it, it's like your digestive tract takes so much energy, and then your body's taking all of this energy too. So it's like, it's just like the reserves are being pulled in another direction really quickly. So you want to get that system in kind of what is it?
Symbiosis.
What did Venom do?
But yeah, you see people puking, at least on some of the longer races that I've observed. You see people puking because their like GI system starts to kind of shut down, because the rest of their body's requiring so much energy that their stomach can't process the food that's going in.
I know, just for me, like with the Yosemite half that we just did, like you get to a point where you're basically like running so much, and you're like, your gut is just like, the way I think of it is, it's just like on fire, like it's stoked, you know? You could throw anything into it and it's just like, okay, cool, melts it really quickly and disperses it through the system. But you know, I'm going all over the place, but at the end of one marathon, I remember this one woman was like charging. She was this like older white lady. She was like in her 60s, and she's all lanky and tall and like kind of freaky, and like she's running, and there are these people in Brentwood eating at like Le Pain Quotidien, like this fancy like omelet restaurant, and like she just like is running, and she goes up to this table, people having brunch, and she's like, "Can I have some of your salt?" And they're like, "Sure." And so she just took like a handful of salt, you know, and she's just like started licking her hands.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my god,
Dude,
so freaky."
That is so dope.
That's a move.
So for both of you, and you guys can take your time to answer this, but like, where are you both at right now with running? And yeah, like Jared, actually, let's start with you. Where are you right now? And like, what do you care to do with it? You know, like, what is your relationship with it?
Well, like mostly honestly because of you guys and listening to the podcast and stuff. Like, I think I want to try a marathon now.
Cool.
Because I think I'm close enough where I don't think I could probably do it at some point soon.
Right.
But yeah, like I've topped out at 16 miles.
That's great.
That's the farthest I've ever run. Stoked on that. But also that's like I hurt so bad afterwards because of the no eating and drinking water and stuff. So like I need to start doing that when I run. So I guess where I'm at is I want to start, I guess, not running like an idiot, you know? Like that's step one.
I don't think that ever goes away.
No, dude, it just gets more like complex and stupider. You find a way to sustain the stupidity.
Well, there's a really good meme too of like, oh, you just need a pair of shoes to run. But then you see the guy with like a Theragun and like these leg like massage machines,
recovery
and, like,
sandals, fucking
like all the drinks and the well, we were even talking about vests on the way here too, and like that's like another.
Oh, so you can stash all your goods.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm hearing all this vest talk, man. I want to know what's up.
I don't know.
It sounded nice.
So what's the
nice?
Are you gonna get a vest?
Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know what's up though.
What's
man.
the vest to get?
Wait, are you guys talking like because I know camelbacks. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, like a camelback.
Well, they make them, but I have the one I got is this like Innovate 2-in-1 vest. So it's like a vest, and then it has a separate pouch that you can detach from it. So you can either wear it as like a vest with the water and some pockets in the front, or if you go on like a really long run, or if like the weather changes, you can add the backpack on and then keep like a jacket and some like extra food. So when I do the longer run up at the Sierra Forest next month, I'm gonna have like some like tortillas and like
Hell yeah.
you know, like maybe a first aid kit, even like just some, and like a change of socks maybe or something like that.
Well, you guys change your socks when you run?
I don't run with socks, so that's a mark.
What?
You don't run with socks?
Wait, no, that's right. You said that on the last podcast. I didn't like. How do you not get blisters and stuff?
I don't know. I think my feet have gone like full, like
You're
Jim
just-
Carrey,
you're built
Dumb and
different,
Dumber,
man.
freakish. Like they're just, I think maybe it's like the Nordic Canadian in me is like just, I don't know.
That's wild.
I like
man.
feeling my foot as I run, and I don't like cotton getting wet, you know. So I can just imagine like wet cotton socks. I'm like, whoa, I don't know.
Yeah, I've hiked in wet shoes, but I've never run in wet shoes. So I'm
that's good
kind
to
of
know.
nervous. I know that this race coming up has water crossings, so I don't know what to expect for that. Like if I'm going to be able to run. Oh. So even though, I mean, I guess I could bring a change of socks, but the shoes will still be wet. So I need to kind of figure that out.
I sweat like a beast too. One time I was running LA Marathon and I was sweating so much that it reactivated the cleansers in my running shorts, like the detergent, and my shorts started foaming. So,
Dude, quick bath, man.
yeah, I was like scrubbed down. So wait, and then Nick, like where are you at with it? Like,
So I'm the same as Jared in that like I got psyched listening to the podcast, and so I just had one goal for the year, which is like I want to go on a run and have like fun, which I haven't done since
amen.
since probably I went for a run with Jared like 10 years ago. So yeah, that's definitely where I'm at. Cause like I used to run with friends all the time in Seattle, and that was like, you know, that was like special. It was either like a very solitary experience, right? Or then like running with a close friend. Like, I mean, those are still people I talk to like every day.
Yeah. It's so cool. Like, yeah, it's such a bonding experience. And I don't know, like on like a greater level to it. Yeah. Like it's something we are kind of designed to do, like as humans, like we can do it. Like that was the neat thing out of Born to Run that I learned was like animals, when they run, they like every movement, they take a breath at the same time. And like humans, we can like do multiple moves and go on one tank of air. So we'll take a breath and we can move like 8 steps and then take another breath. But like a dog will be like, like that's how they do it. And it's kind of neat when you like it, because it's a very neat bonding human experience.
Yeah. And I mean, we joke about it, but yeah, it's a really simple way of like releasing stress, releasing endorphins and all that. And like the other thing too, that we haven't really touched on though, is like being able to pace yourself, and like running at a conversational pace too is also something that I think running with other people helps, because you're able to check in with your body and be like, oh, I'm like probably running too fast, I'm exerting too much energy, and like being with somebody and talking to them helps slow you down, and like is probably, helps build your aerobic base that way. Because
right,
that's the other thing too that I talk with people a lot about, people that are getting into it that feel like they're burning out or they're injuring themselves, is like to just slow down. Like it's, you want to be at a pace where you can have a conversation with somebody and not be like totally gassed at the end.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Well, I wanted to hear some of the stories of you just like running through LA, because I feel like you have some pretty wild stories of like encountering different.
Well, because I live in downtown, so it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So give us the downtown update right now.
Like, do you run through like the historic park or Elysian Park or like through the streets?
Well, I have like I have like a route that I do that you can like kind of change, like depending on what you want to do. That's safe. Because before LA Historic Park, I was just running in downtown, and I'd almost gotten hit by cars so many times because it sucks. But when they built this park, like then I just started doing it's like a mile loop, so it's perfect, and it's a dirt path, so it's great and easy.
Is that where you were doing 14 miles? Or were you just doing laps?
No. So I started doing that, and then once I got to 6 miles, I was like, dude, this is like boring as hell, man.
yeah.
So I had to like do something else. So then I started like going across the bridges into Lincoln Heights, and like going around there. And then basically I just like, what's this? I guess it's like, Broadway. Like when Broadway, you go across that bridge, and then you go across the 5, and then whatever that street is. Like I just take that into Lincoln Heights and then get close to kind of Highland Park and then turn around.
So cool.
And that's the loop. And there's a really good loop you can do where there's no traffic and the lights are almost always green.
Yeah.
And then when you get back, you're at about I start in Chinatown, do a lap around the park, and then do this thing. And when you're back, you're at about 10 miles. And then from there, if you want to go further, you can either just do more laps around the park, or you can go into downtown. Sometimes I'll go to Little Tokyo and back.
Yeah.
And that's a cool route. But yeah, before that, it was just like literally just running. I'd go into downtown and just like wherever there's a green light, you turn. And it was a nightmare. Because then you'd have to get back too, and it's just like, dude, where am I? Or actually, so before I made this loop too, I started doing these runs where I would do that. I'd go into Lincoln Heights and just go where the green lights went, but then I would get lost. And a couple times I got lost and it was bad. And I'd do long runs, but accidentally, it's just because I didn't know where the hell I was.
Yeah. It's kind of fun that way though, right?
It is fun, man.
I think I mentioned it on the pod, but like, yeah, that one run where I knew it was going to be really trafficy and I needed to head down to a Redondo or something like, that was like such a trip to like, just like use my body as a car. Like, just like, all right, cool. Like put a backpack, a change of clothes, and like went from one destination to another. It is fun that way. Like just to use it as like a mode of transportation.
Totally.
There's so many spots in LA too that you can kind of get, especially here, like on the east side, you can get a mix of things that are like a more city feeling and then things that are like feels like you're in nature. You know what I mean? Like, so from here, a walk that I do all the time with my dog is we go, like we're in Pasadena, and then you just walk up the hill for about 45 minutes and then you're at Echo Mountain. And then you can take that and then be in like the Angeles National Forest in like another hour and a half. And so if you have a few hours, like all of a sudden you go from the suburbs to like a mountain top, and then you can be in the woods. And I feel like LA is like very special in that it does that. Like a lot of the cities I've lived in before, like that, there wasn't an option. There's also, the human made parks, like we've designated like Elysian Park, that is a park. Whether or not you want to say you're engaging with nature is another, it's another beast entirely. Like, yeah, you might get attacked by mountain lion, but like there's also the Hollywood sign up there, right? So it's a very like strange and like unique experience.
Totally.
But you totally get like, I feel like that's one of the things that makes LA special is like, and that's why I talked about how when I was training for the marathon, I lived like kind of in a place that was like, it's on the west side, but it's central to the city. But then like when you're in the Ballona Creek, you're at this like
Such a
fight of nature and city, right?
Yeah.
It's like it's a paved creek, right? That goes all the way to the ocean. And then you're just at the ocean and like on the sand, and you can go all the way down to Palos Verdes, which is another like 20 miles.
Yeah, to everybody listening, is it Bayona? Is that how or is Bologna? Yeah, it's you know, this beautiful kind of bizarre postmodern-y like hybrid LA experience that can get you right out to the ocean, and there's a certain part where you run through it to where you go by like abandoned like baseball fields. Like it's got this very cool feel, and there aren't, you know, it does shoot you through nature and industry at the same time.
Like there's full like wetlands that are preserved that are kind of like right before it hits it hits the ocean.
And for people that I guess aren't familiar with it, like just imagine that scene in Terminator 2.
Yes.
Where like in the beginning when they go into the cement waterway, I mean those are kind of all over LA. Those like the Army Corps created these,
all the creeks and rivers were turned into these like
storm drain channels.
When you say like LA River, it's actually just this giant brutalist construction, right? That's just all concrete. But then like nature will like seep into that, right?
Yeah.
There's still like fish in the LA River. There's like a group that does kayak tours of the LA River and stuff. Like
and like you said, the Ballona Creek ends at the wetlands, which are like a nature reserve.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden like you start seeing more and more water, and then you're close to the ocean. Like shout out to Show Noro, but like we did like one of those runs years ago, and I remember it was a super hot day. It was like close to like 94 or something, and we thought it would be cool, but we didn't realize like the white concrete was just like beaming right on our faces. And like that's what's so fucking fun about running though, is like you get to see the city in a way that you normally wouldn't see it in the car. And like that run specifically, like we ran underneath the 405, like you run under all of these areas, and like it's such an experience. And like you see like communities of people like living out there. You see like it's very like unique, weird ride. It's an adventure down there for sure.
Yeah, I might even say that the things that make LA a kind of unwalkable city make it a really fun city to run in, because there's such long stretches of sidewalk where there's like nothing going on. There's no pedestrians, but yet for running, that's perfect. Like when I was running in London, you're constantly being like dodging pedestrians. There's traffic. It's a totally different, or it's probably same thing in New York or any big city. LA has these like perfect stretches for running.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was just in Rhode Island and I wanted to go on a run, specifically Newport, Rhode Island. You guys,
no,
it's really nice, but whatever. But there's just like
shots fired on Newport.
Shots fired, not fired.
With Newport in it,
dude. No, both barrels with the shots, man. Like not chill. But so I was trying to run there, and it's all like old streets and stuff, and it's like a tourist town. It was the worst because I got spoiled from running in LA, where, like you said, you can go on stretches and it's like.
That's a great observation, Mark. I never really thought of LA as like a running city, but it is. Like you do like, I get goosebumps thinking about it. Like it's so fucking, long stretches.
Yeah. Well, I think of like Adams, like you mentioned Adams before, and how, I remember walking down Adams being like, this is a miserable experience, because it's just, there's like industrial buildings with like no access to street access. So you're just walking by bricks, and there's like overgrown weeds and stuff. But
when you run it, you've actually seen so much. Like I did a run into downtown, and like you just like go through so many different communities and neighborhoods that you wouldn't walk. Like you take your car. And like, but when you run it, you get that experience, and it's just so cool to see all of that. Well, like we could talk to you guys for a really long time. Jared, what is your runner's high?
Oh man, this is gonna sound really dumb, but like in my 20s, big fan of weed, big fan. In my 30s, I've definitely not as much, but it's very similar to that. Brain turns off. I listen to music when I run, like Nick, and I feel like it is a form of meditation, you know, but it's hard for me to meditate like how you think about it normally. You sit down and close your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't know if that's what you mean, but like
that works perfect.
That's, I guess, what it is. Like,
what do you listen to when you run?
I change it up. I make playlists. Actually, oh, dude. So no, I found out you're a fan of Ross from Friends.
Oh yeah,
dude. I've been rocking
because
that.
of Mark.
Dude,
Mark played
so steady tempos.
Dude, running to that is what's up. Like,
could you make us an NNR playlist? Could you do one for us?
Yeah, say no more, fam. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
I'd love a guest playlist. That would be so rad.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lot of J-pop too, a lot of house, a lot of hip hop.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Nick, what's your runner's high, man?
So honestly, it's hard not to echo Jared in that it's, you know, I always just called it flow state, and that's you know, that's something I've been trying to chase for like a long time, right? Whether it's been when I'm making music, or like it's just that point where your brain kind of lets go of everything else and lets you be in the moment. And yeah, I think I'm in the same boat where I'm not able to just like sit and get to that point, but running is something that, especially after a couple miles, you know, and then it comes in waves, right? And sometimes you're able to be in that place for a little while. Sometimes it only lasts for a few seconds, and then you're just kind of chasing it again. But then for me, I'd say the best high is after it's over, right?
No, that's what's
and then
up.
I feel you.
I feel you. You get that rush, and then you can kind of be still, and it still have that little dopamine hit in the brain.
Unbelievable. Mark, man, you really paired a nice selection of
It's like a nice wine and cheese pair.
A couple of goddamn nerds.
Oh my god. Well, we're gonna definitely have to have you guys back. I definitely want to do updates if you're gonna be
Before and
training
after,
for a
man.
marathon.
Yeah,
that's right.
And maybe we can get like a solid like a walking tour from you one day. Maybe
Oh,
could do
yeah.
like on the ground field recording kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd love to do that for sure.
All right. Well, Mark,
Thank
we
you
did
both
it.
for
Yeah,
doing
thanks for
this.
both
Yeah,
coming,
dude,
guys.
really
Thank you
appreciate it.
guys, man. This was great.
And you guys are gonna go hit a run now.
I hope so.
Yeah,
man.
so.
I mean, I'm geared up, boy.
He's dipped, everybody. All right, this was episode 13 of the Never Not Run Pod. I'm Chris Candy.
I'm Mark Nieto.
All right, thank you.